And a one fish, two fish. And a one fish, two fish. And a red fish, blue fish. And a one fish, two fish. And a red fish, blue fish. I think I'm centered. I think we're good to go. I think I'm centered. Alright, there goes the echo on the Twitch. Let's move over and check the YouTube. Is that the YouTube? Alright, let's get the volume there. The echo on the Twitch. Let's move over and check the YouTube. Alright, that's sounding fine. YouTube's got volume. Twitch has got volume. I've got a stream running. We got CS Bond in the house, baby. And DJ Ray. Everybody check out that DJ Ray. Spinning the tunes 5 nights a week. I think Ray's been taking Saturdays and Sundays off. Slacker. I'm kidding, Ray. I'm kidding. I don't know how you stream that much, dude. And you've dialed it back a little, and you're still doing at least 4 hours 5 times a week. That's crazy. Says the guy who manages to just do a couple of hours 5 times a week. But I'm getting work done. So we're picking up. The current project is we are making a swimsuit for Daz. And I'm going to try to do the whole swimsuit on stream. And we're going to pick up. This is kind of where we left off. And we had finished this and was going to move over to Daz. But then I'm looking at it going, you know what? I want this to be I want it a little bit more different. Because right now, this is the CC Basics outfit. Which is different, but maybe a little too similar. So I think one of the things I want to do, this has got these big straps on it, big chunky straps, and this is a little more sporty. But I think what I want to do is I think the front is a little too similar. So I think I'm going to redo this front just a little bit. We're going to maybe add it so we can do some cleavage. I'm going to have like a panel here that you can either hide or we can make into mesh or we can just completely texture. So we're going to do that. I'm going to rework this. So we're going to go back a couple of steps. So if you're following the last video, that is actually complete, but we're doing a little bit of a step back here, and then we're going to go and get it into Daz. So hopefully this won't take too long. Fingers crossed. So I've done this trim. I'm going to re-merge the trim back onto here and go from there. I think I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put a cut that's going to come down here to here. We're going to put trim pieces here and here. I'm still going to leave this, so we're going to put a trim piece up in here as well, and then we'll have this so you can hide these two pieces or you can show them and texture them. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to come back here and merge this. And hopefully this doesn't take too long. So I'm going to put that over there, and we're going to re-merge these two edges together. And I think I might chop them in half too. And then we can do the linked editing. Then we'll put them back together. Then we'll do our trim pieces out. That's the plan. But first things first, let's moage. And hopefully that doesn't go horribly wrong. I think that's going to be fine. I'm going to leave that point right there because that's going to be, and now we're going to just split this in half. So I'm just going to take that and I'm just going to cut. I'm just going to cut because we're just going to get rid of this like that. And I'm just going to, I think this will work out. And I got part of chat. And welcome to anybody on the YouTube, but almost nobody ever watches on YouTube. But anyhow, welcome YouTube. And I got the cool cats, DJ Ray and Charles over here in the Twitch. Let's do the linked editing. I'm just going to pull this over here. And I think I'm going to try to, I'll line that back up in a minute. So what I think I want to do is run a line from here to maybe somewhere like here. Let's see how that works out. So I'm just going to do a little line like that. And I've got my little cut zone right there. I think that's gonna, do I want to curve that? I don't think so. I think we're just going to do that. Oops, maybe I should sew this together. It's just for, there we go, that's better. Yeah, I think that'll, and then I'm just going to trim this through here. So I think I'll just do an offset internal line right through here. Offset is internal line. I actually want it to go the other way, like that, and say okay. I want to see where this is ending. So we're going to just tweak this just a hair. I'm going to move that to be right there. We'll just let it sim out a little bit. Looking good. Also, a little thing, I think I'm going to add a little sports clip on camera, and we might model that later today, just so I can show how to do a rigid follow node attachment. Also, it gives it a little extra flair. Okay, I think that's good. Are you not? Oh, you're not, so that's okay. We're gonna see. I have, you know what? I don't need this little point right here anymore, do I? We're gonna move you back out of the way. I'm just gonna delete that. I'm just gonna fix this sewing for just a second. Is good. Okay, then I'm just going to put a trim line through here. Actually, let's do our cut and sews on here. So we're just going to cut and sew those. I'm going to need another couple of fabric zones or material zones for this front panel. That's going to be top trim right there. Missed. Did you see the way I had the arrow pointing in here and it selected the other thing next to it? What a great program. Are you not? See? It did it again. It's got the shittiest selection tools. What kind of moron thought that the active point should not be at the point of the arrow? I think it's just like somewhere in the middle. That's not how you design UIs. Okay, so that's good. This is top front. We're going to call this top front panel. So let's copy that top front panel. And then we're going to have top front panel trim for that top edge. So I'm going to do that. Let's change that color to something we can see. That's different. You know what? I'm not using any of those. That's just going to go right there. All right, now we're just going to put a trim on here. So do just the old offset as internal line. I got to take that reverse back off. And then we're just going to do a little cut and sew on that. And then I just need to make a top. I should probably top front panel trim. Yeah, let's do that. Copy that. Top front panel trim. And, you know, put that there. I need to change that color so we can see the difference. Just to make sure. It helps me from inadvertently screwing stuff up. So I think that's gonna be fine. So we can put some sort of sporty mesh or something in here. And that does help differentiate it. The bottoms on the other one are a lot lower than these. These are fairly high cut. So I think we're good. We're going to check the mesh. I might need to make these, or just to double check and make sure everything that needs to be quads is quads and everything that should be tris is tris. So we'll switch over here to the mesh view. And what we're looking at is, that's not too bad. That's a little... If I switch this is a weird angle, and I'm not happy with that. And if I switch that to, may say, tries, there might be a point here, and that might come out looking better. Other than that, I mean, this is mostly good, except for just this one little, I don't really like that really thin, long, and that is probably a quad, which means there's probably a weird little point over here somewhere. This one came out looking fine, but this one, I think I'm just going to switch over to tries. Evil, evil tries. There we go, I like that. That's looking a little nicer. Okay, let's put this stuff back over here. Just kind of double checking. I'm just going to grab this and this. And hopefully my snap is on. So this should ideally snap in place and line up. Oh, and I put these cuts in here. Let's move this over here. I see I got weird issues. That is, I have no idea why it's doing that. See, if I try it, it looks okay. Quad optimize is just losing its mind. That is a really bad mesh. Bad quad optimize. I mean, maybe I can add some extra loopy things through here or something. I kind of have an idea what it might think it's doing, but you know what? I'm just going to nudge that up there for a second so that I can easily just select. I think I'm going to just try to add. Of course, I can't select what I want to select because this program doesn't understand proper selection techniques. Let's try this. I'm going to, I don't know if I try it. So what is our other option? Is this grid quad, which is garbage. Maybe if I put a cut through here. So possibly if I just explicitly draw a line from here to here, that might get it to regenerate better. So let's try maybe something like... See, now the snapping's working against me. I think I'm going to, right there. See, that's better. That could be better still, though. I think I can live with that. I think we'll nudge this back down. I did not. Can I just grab you and nudge you down? There we go. These are still larger than they should be. Although maybe when the sub D, and it might be okay. Let's try this. Let's give this a go. Let me hit save. I think I've got everything. So we're going to weld these back together in the middle. Yo, Napsmore, how are you doing? Somebody probably thought it was a brilliant idea, and 2 weeks later, and quit 2 weeks later for another. Is that the Craptastic selection tools? Probably. Maybe there's a reason why they're not here anymore. I'm going to weld the center line back up. I wonder if that's going to change the meshing. That actually might fix my problem, and I might try to get rid of those lines. We'll see. Moage. I want to moage those. And then I'm going to moage these. And let me see. You know what? Now it's looking a lot better. Can I just get rid of these? See, there we go. Problem solved. I didn't need those in the first place. I just needed to to merge it back together. I think we're happy. I think I'm going to hit save. All right, now we're going to get this over in the Daz. So we're going to fit it to the Genesis 8. Normally I would use my 94.1% sizing, but for this outfit it's working out better if I just use the full size shape for Genesis 8. So we're going to do that. And I'm just double checking. Let's just take a quick peek at my mesh. Oh, these are missing. I had that problem last time. I'm missing little trims there. Let's just quickly get those in. Offset as internal line. Just do a quick cut and sew on those. We're just going to make sure that that's assigned to bottom trim. I think this should just be bottom trim. Put that there. Put that there. And I need a quick... Yeah, you never use Clothing Designer. The frequent lack of consistency between apps is much worse. It gets weird, and they just keep breaking things. I'm still using the version from last year for Marvelous Designer because they broke internal lines. They don't weld on export. Although it might be fixed in the last one. I have to just double check again. And the material names are garbage. These at least say something like bottom underscore trim underscore fabric, meaningless numbers. The latest version just says material underscore meaningless numbers. It actually, at least it keeps them in the same order, so if you can reference, I suppose you can go. It's not like I don't have to rename them in Daz anyhow, because it insists on giving bad names. Okay, let's do a couple of things here. Let's just make sure my UV pattern is probably broken again. Yep, UV pattern got broken, so we're just going to reset that, fit it to 0, 1, and say OK. So our UVs are still looking good. I'm not going for super packing efficiency. We're going for easier for somebody looking at a texture map to texture. So that's what we've got going on here. And the big thing that's actually driving my sizing is this really long strip here. I mean, I could split it in half, but I kind of like it being one big, really long strip. So anyhow, there's the UVs. I think I've fixed that. I think we're good to go. So let's hit save. Let's actually come back over here. Hit save. And now we're going to resize. So we're going to load in a Genesis 8F morph target on here to resize. And let me just make sure my gravity is still turned off. I like that. This outfit we don't need to really be using gravity to model with. If I had a dress or something, I might adjust gravity. I like working with gravity off while I'm putting the pattern pieces around. It's kind of a little handy. But if we're working with really loose clothing or something, you kind of want to get that gravity in there before exporting out. Anyhow, we're going to fit it to the base shape, and we're going to fit it to the Genesis 8 shape. Right now we're in the feminine. And for feminine clothing, I think it's just easier. It just works out better to start with a something that has breasts. And if it doesn't fit the feminine shape auto fit nicely in Daz, I do have a good feminine shape here, and I can use this as a morph target. Anyhow, there's my Genesis 8 avatars. We're going to come over to, I think I've got a G8F shape in here somewhere. See, that's not it. I could have sworn. I think I had to save one. Let me add one to this directory. Where is this directory, by the way? So here, let's quickly add a morph target into our directory here from Daz. Hello, Daz. Let's position that so I can still see chat. Let's load in a Genesis 9. Waiting. There we go. Somebody has got the join editor turned on. All right, we're going to save this as a morph target, and this should work. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I haven't had saved out a morph target for that avatar in the longest time, but we'll see how this goes. So a couple things we want to do is put the base resolution to set the resolution to base. It should be good. I'm going to come over here. I favored a whole bunch of morphs, so it makes it easier to find them. We're going to dial in our Genesis 8. This is a hidden clone, Genesis 8 female. So I'm just going to dial that in and then export this out, and hopefully we can use this as a morph target if I did this right. Export a file. There we go. I have a button over there that I set up for that. Otherwise, you just go through file something. I don't know. So where is this directory again? I don't know. I think it's over in, oh, there it is. It's an Objects Marvelous Designer. Okay, so that's where we're exporting to. My objects file, Objects Marvelous Designer. There should be a G89 avatar. So this is the avatar file, and I'm just going to save this as a G8F shape, and I'm going to say 100 so I know it's 100%, because I have a bad tendency of scaling things sometimes. Should be good. My usual export is out at 1% because Daz works in centimeters and all my other apps work in, well, Marvelous Designer is millimeters, but I work in Blender meters. So we do that. So that should line up with this. So now I'm going to hit this little refresh button, and I should have this. There it is. There's our shape we just made. So let's apply that as a morph target, and it worked. It worked. If I were working with pants or something, I would repose the legs to match Genesis 8, but we're not worrying about that. All right, I'm just going to sim a little bit just to make sure my crotch is okay. Crotch is looking fine. I do have strengthened on, so it makes everything really smooth from a lot of this. You know what? I think we're in good shape. I have a little bit of a pinch there. Maybe I'll just iron that out just a little. That is right about there. Let's just pop that steam. Maybe make you a little bit larger. And I think, am I still doing? Let's undo that just to see. I think that's good. Actually, so I'm going to redo this. So as I apply the steam, it kind of shrinks this up. I'm just going to kind of do that to smooth it out just a little bit, maybe. Let's see if maybe we can hit that edge right. Let's make this a little smaller. See if we can get right in. Maybe a little bit smaller. And maybe just right in there a little better. I like that, and it should be mirroring. We'll check our mirroring. Yeah, it did mirror. Okay, so I like that. Could be worse. In Carrera, the default unit is inch. There's that. I have to say, currently none of the programs I regularly use has inches as a default. I think Substance might be, I don't even know if Substance has I think Substance just uses maybe units. I think it's metric though. Although I can tell you the default it's kind of millimeters in this, because you just like work with millimeters when positioning things. Was that my Blender is in meters and Daz for some reason is centimeters. I'm not sure why they chose centimeters. Anyhow, I think we're ready. We've got a good we're going to export this out. Hopefully everything will be copacetic. I'm going to turn you off, and we're just going to, let's do this. I got to be really careful to make sure I select everything, because like I said, the selection tools in this program are garbage. I keep not selecting things that I marquee past because it's going, nope, 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 you're too close, we're not going to select that. Anyhow, I'm going to, actually, let's do file, save as. Let's save this out as the Genesis 8 version. I'm going to overwrite. I know it says Genesis. Let's say Genesis 8 100, so I don't confuse myself later on. Genesis 8 100. Okay, save that. And then I'm going to export file, export OBJ selected. And I have done this before, and I was, of course, it remembers the last place I loaded something from, which is an avatar, which doesn't do me any good when exporting. Are you my... There we go. And this is the top G8F. I'm going to save it right there. And this should be good. My settings, just to take a quick look at this. I don't know if I looked at this earlier. I can't make you... There we go. I can pull this whole box open like that. And there's still stuff at the bottom you can't see. There we go. So the things I am really looking for is just a single object. We're not dealing with any graphics and trims, but if there were some, I would probably uncheck that. Thin and welded. Thick is very, very bad. We'll just leave it at that. I'm not sending out any of these textures. I want a texture and substance. If I were setting up textures in here, I would probably check some of these and probably kick that up to 4096. Trying to you hate the UV tools, e.g. mapping grid. The split window is subdivided by 8s. Oh, I hadn't even thought about that. I'm used to 8s, but there's got to be a way to change that because Blender is so flexible. I don't know. We'll take a look. I'm going to open up Blender a little bit later, I think. If you're still around when I get to Blender, we'll take a look at the UV mapping stuff. 8 works for me, but it doesn't. But I could see how, it just doesn't work your workflow. It's not what you're used to. And getting things the way you're used to it just makes you work so much faster instead of having to relearn. And meters. I'm scaling in meters. I mean, I could do centimeters, but we're doing meters because meters works with my Blender workflow. Yeah, I get that. When you work in metric, your brain works in tens. That makes sense. All right, I'm going to hit OK. Out goes the top. Now we'll save out the bottom. And then we're going to do this for Genesis 8. And I'm going to scroll in just to make sure I selected that edge, even though I had my marquee over it. Export OBJ selected. This is going to be the bottom for G8F, and I'll save that. And do I want to replace it? Yep. And we're just going to take a quick peek to make sure it didn't change anything. It will stay fine, and then one day it'll suddenly change settings. I think if I'm not paying attention, it realizes it, and so it's going, hey, he's not paying attention. I'm going to just make this thick. All right, so that's good. We're done with the G8 version. I'm going to hit save on that. We're going to reopen our base version, which hopefully should be somewhere right about G9F, right about there. And then we're going to fit this to the Genesis base. I'm just going to take a quick peek. Everything looks like it's still the same. All right, now we're just going to load in the base as a morph target. So I'm just going to double check that and say load as morph target and say OK. And I think it did it. It's now our androgynous shape. Can I stop the... When I can stop the sim, I know it's done. There we go. All right, let's take a quick peek at how things lined up. I think we're fine. Actually, let's... I can use a little bit of smoothing right here. I'm just going to tug on this a little bit and see if we can... We got a little bit of wrinkling there I don't really want. So maybe I can just pull that out. And having done this, I should probably look at the back. I could always just try to steam that out too. There's a little bit of a bugaboo in there, but I think it's going to be fine. I think we're fine. Okay. Let's save this before I overwrite my main. Save as project. I think I've got a base in here somewhere, don't I? Base, there it is. So I'm going to save over that. Okay, and then we're going to save this out for the Genesis 8 base. And I'm just going to zoom in and make sure I got what I wanted selected. And we'll save this as the top. Export, once again, OBJ selected. And this is just going to be Sport Swim. I need a better name than Sport Swim. And I should do that probably before I get too far in Daz, so I can just kind of name my Daz folders properly. So I think we're going to run over to ChatGTP and do a little bit of brainstorming. All right, and then we're going to export this out. The bottom for G9. Excellent. Okay, should be good. I'm going to hit save. Okay, so we're kind of where we were, except I just reworked the top a little bit at the end of last stream on Thursday. So now we're going to go pick this up in Daz, kind of what we were playing with. But before we do that, I need a name for this, a cool name, a cool sounding name. This is going to be like Sporty Summer 2025. So what I'm going to do is here's where I use AI a lot, is just bounce ideas. I get it to generate cool sounding names. Okay, so we'll set up the Control-Shift-F. We'll reset you back to your base shape. Since I've got a Genesis 9 in here, we'll rig up the Genesis 9 first, then we'll rig up the Genesis 8. But here, let's take a little detour. ChatGTP, you are evil, I know. I'm consorting with the enemy. And we'll say 15 cool names for a sporty summer 2025 swimsuit. And we'll see if any of these. And then we're going to double check and see if products at Daz have similar names. Streamline Swim. Wave Runner Swimsuit. Hydro Swim? Aero Swim. These are kind of... What is a loom? Loom Flow? Flow Swim? Aquas? I think I've used Aqua before. Anyhow, let's take a peek over at Daz. Let's go shopping at the Daz. Hey Daz, first let me settle on what I kind of like. Do I like Wave Runner? Wave, tide. I don't think solar is doing me. Velocity, streamline, C volt. C volt's kind of cool. You know, and I bet you nothing says C volt. Let's see. C volt. Let's check that. Although my brain says C vol, like it's some sort of aquatic vol. So that's I'm not getting a hit there. Streamline swim. Maybe we'll try. Let's take a look at. If we say streamline, did that not? Streamline rib. 30 streamline motorcycle. I don't know. I'm not quite. Arrow, not quite. Tide breaker, tide swim, maybe tide breaker. Let's take a look at that. Maybe I'll go with that. Although part of me wants something higher in the alphabet. See, I'm totally not getting any hits. It's picking stuff up, but it's not picking up Tidebreaker per se. That might. And I don't want to use Aqua. Maybe Hydro Swift. Hydro Swim. Maybe Hydro Swim. Aqua Swim. I don't. Aqua Lure. Soul Aqua. That's my own. Siren Splash. I'm not seeing a lot of aquas in here. But maybe, I don't know. That's just not singing to me. Loom. What is a loom exactly? Hopefully I don't. Loom. It's a product name. Loom. Why did you come up with that? Are you even a word? Meaning in English. World. Oh, it's Romanian for world. What's Romanian for water? Apa. No. What's Esperanto? Akvo. Akvo swim? Maybe I'll just go with that because that's a little obscure. When in doubt, use Esperanto. And that's like a little hidden Easter egg for Esperanto. So I think I'm going to go with that, Akvo. I think we'll just call it the Akvo swim. There we go. All right, so I settled on a name. So we're going to set up our folder structure real quick here before we start building out the outfit. So here we're going to come to the content library. We're going to run over here to Content Directory Manager. I think currently I'm calling this thing Sporty Swim, so I think I'm going to just Is there a reason not to rename it? It'll just screw up. You know what? I'm just going to make a new directory and we'll just move everything over there. I think for right now, I'm just going to put this into the Sporty. Actually, let's do this. Daz Studio formats. We're going to add. So I keep all my beach stuff in my beach party directory. And I have got this started down here as a Sporty Swim 2025. So we're just going to add that, accept this. Okay, we're going to go grab some template files. So I keep those over in my projects. And there's a folder here that says templates. And I think I can just grab all of this. Actually, let's copy that. Let's not cut it. And let's put this over into the swim. Beach party. Nope, that's a bubble palace. That's a beach party. Sporty swim. So we'll just place all of this stuff here. And let's take a look at our people. Just say female, clothing, me. And let's put a new folder here. Akvo, swim, Genesis 8 female. And then we'll just set up a directory for that over here for Genesis 9. Okay, I'm going to go grab a starter materials file. What was I working on recently? Temp 03 was the last thing I was working on. This is the 50s Rebel outfit. I'm just going to come down in here and steal the material file out here and use this as a starting point. So right in here. So I'm just going to paste this. And we're going to clean these out because it's got a bunch of stuff in here we don't need for this. Like all of these material files for the Rebel outfit. So my material files will go there. My D-Force presets will come in here. I'm going to keep that in here. And we're just going to, those are the D-Force settings for the outfit. I'm going to change that to something. ASCC. Is that going to be the Akvo? Can I just say Akvo? Actually, yeah, let's just say Akvo. If I did this in Daz, it would rename all three at once. So these are the recommended D-Force simulation settings. It sets it to viewport resolution, and it tries to use the best collision settings. So if you double click on that, it changes your simulation settings to be viewport settings and best. Okay, hierarchical materials will come here. We don't need any of those. We will do those later. These are my generic shaders. These work with anything. I'm just going to change this prefix because these are in the Akvo. So I'm just going to rename all of these. Let's just say 50s R, and we're going to name that to Akvo space and apply. And that's done. So now I have these generic, and then I'm just going to copy this and stick it over in the Genesis 9 folder as well. So if you're using Genesis 9, you don't have to go looking for these things somewhere else. They're right here. Okay, my folders are set up. I don't even really need the data folder, but it will generate that. But I've got one there anyhow. All right, now we're ready to start importing and rigging. And I do want to do Genesis 9 first, because then I'm just going to be a slacker and auto fit it to Genesis 8, and then we can use the Genesis 8 shape to refit it a little bit. So anyhow, Genesis 9. Let's do a little bit of importing. I put a little button over here for importing. Import. That is not where we need to be. I'm lost. I'm hovering right over it. There we go. All right, let's do the Genesis 9 top. I'm going to switch over to the headlamps. And then let's get in the Genesis 9 bottom. Looking good. Let's put it, just real quick, we're just going to put D-force modifiers on here and quickly sim just to make sure I don't have any. Ruh-roh. That needs to get sewn back on. And I'm going to have to remember to do that for the Genesis 8 version. Dangity dang it. I've got an unsewn seams down here, don't I? Yeah, you guys got unconnected, didn't you? When I was doing that. So that's still sewn. I just have to resew this stuff back on. Ideally, they will match up when I do this for the Genesis 8 one. Otherwise, I'm probably going to redo. I'm going to have to try to remember. All right, that looks about right. So I have to re-export out this top. Okay, there, I can see that bottom trim piece is not selected when I've got it marquee selected, even though my box goes past it. And now it's selected. Okay. Export OBJ selected. We are overwriting the top for Genesis 9. Just to make sure my settings didn't get changed. Meters, I've never caught meters changing, so I'm not going to look at that. Back over to here. Okay, we're going to get rid of this top because UI is bad. We're going to import in the one we just saved. Accept that, should be good. So I think put a D-force modifier on that. I think I already put a D-force modifier on this. Run the sim real quick just to make sure nothing bad happens. That's basically what it was supposed to do. First thing, it did not vanish, so that's always good. And it didn't explode. I can kind of fix explosions. Vanishing means I got to go into the modeler and figure out what 2 points are in the same spot. So, oops, I'm going to cancel this. And because I messed up that sewing, we're going to re-export out the Genesis 8. And what I should do is I'm going to just I'm going to fix the base G9F, and then I'm going to go and fix the 8 and then re-export it, just so I don't forget. So I know I got to do that to this, and then I have to come over here. And then we just sew this in. Should be good. Run the sim and save that. And I'm going to pop over and fix and export out the Genesis 8 version. And I'm doing 100%. I could probably just throw that one away. Okay, and I just got to do the same thing and re-export out the top. And ideally, these meshes should just match up. It saves me a little bit of time when making morphs. I have a few morphs that'll work on both, the 8 or the 9. So it's just a little convenient. And it should be good. And hit save, and we'll re-export out the Genesis 8 top. See, bottom edge not selected. There it goes. Yeah, I'm going to complain about that every time I use it. OBJ to import ad. That was an import ad. Let's try this again. Export OBJ selected. There we go. Just as 8F top. There we are. Okay. All right, put that back around. All right, we are ready to, first things first, we're just going to run the transfer tool on these. Actually, we're just going to double check our surfaces. Those are in fairly good shape. They have mostly the names, and I'm optimistic that they didn't get jumbled too much. Let's go take a look at the top and see how my surfaces are looking over there. I think we're in relatively good shape there. Okay, so we're going to clean those up in a little while. But we're going to run the transfer tool twice. Once for the top and once for the bottoms. Our source is going to be this Genesis 9 favorites. I've customized my Genesis 9. I marked a whole bunch of the morphs that I want to access easily as favorites and then resaved it. So if I go to favorites on this, it just brings up all the morphs I want to make sure are in the close. Anyhow, that's the reason why my Genesis 9 says Genesis 9 favorites. And then we're going to just do the bottom first. And we are going to just use a bodysuit tight template on that and accept that. And that just creates all sorts of stuff in there. All right, then we just run this for, I don't know, did I just do the top or the bottom? I have no idea. I did the bottom because it's right there. So now we're going to do the top. So transfer tool, and actually, where is the transfer tool? Transfer tool, I think, is, see, I'm so used to accessing it because I just stuck a button on here. So things I use an insane amount, I have buttons for, but that's not a real regular Daz thing. Normally, the transfer tool is under what, assets, transfer tool here from the hamburger menu. And we're just going to do our Genesis 9, and we're going to just select our top this time, and I am going to use the tight template again, because that's a pretty tight outfit. Okay, ideally we should be on there now. Now we're just going to add a few modifiers. Let's get our D-force on here. So here I'm just, and you can also, like I said, I've got buttons over here. Normally you would be here in the simulation tab and D-force, add D-force modifier, dynamic surface. There we go. That's the standard one. Okay, so these now have D-force. I'm going to come over here to the surfaces. We're going to tweak our D-force settings. Before I do that, though, I have a shader that kind of collapses a lot of the stuff that I don't need to see in my shaders. It just makes it easier for me to put materials. Anyhow, so that's been applied. That's my default shader. We're going to come down here to our D-force settings. I've got everything selected. The number one thing that stops explosions is setting the bend stiffness lower. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to have this outfit shrink just a little bit onto the figure when it deforces, so it'll just pull things a little tighter. So we're going to change expansion ratio to 95 to start with. And I think I'm going to set the dynamic strength to be like 0.9 to start with. So it's not entirely dynamic. And then let's test that out and see how it goes. So it got a little bit smaller and it kind of holds its nice tight shape. Yay! I think we're going to get the texturing of this. I still have a couple hours before I'm going to call it a day. Next thing, let's go. Can I do these both at the same time? I always forget. Edit geometry, convert to sub D. Edit geometry, add a smoothing modifier. Let's come over here to parameters and see if that happened. High resolution on the bottom, high resolution on the top. So apparently I did. Come over here and check out the mesh smoothing is on. General mesh smoothing looking good. I'm going to leave this on base shaping matching. This is a really tight, not almost no wrinkles in it outfit. So in this case, this will be just fine. So I think I'm good there. I've put my D-force on here. I've got my base shaders on here. My smoothing. I think I'm ready to save these out now. Let's reset the D-force so that I don't accidentally save it with the D-force on. Or, you know, simulated settings. I think we're good. I think I can just use the save as a prop figure asset and start getting that done. Hum diddy hum diddy hum diddy hum. So I have the bottom selected. Is there anything? No. We gotta fix the names of the surfaces. That's right. These things we gotta clean up. So over to the geometry editor, tool settings. I need to be in face selection mode, and we're just gonna clean these up here. So I need to just get rid of all of this garbage that Marvelous Designer thinks is important to have me clean up every time. That stuff's important. I'm going to make you have to do some cleanup. Waste your time. I refuse to just export stuff out the way you named it. Could be worse. Could be the new naming convention. This could just be material underscore some random number. At least it's, I think this is, see, at least it's maintaining these parts of the name correctly. And you can see them selected over here. So I did not delete that like I was supposed to. Alright, so the bottom's cleaned up. Let's clean up the top. Get in here. And I can kind of see what I'm doing. So that's looking good. I have had cases where it just jumbles these things up. For some reason, my trim isn't my trim. It's a mystery. The enigma of Marvelous Designer. I don't know, probably has something to do with translating from Korean. I don't know. I really don't know. I think last year somebody rewrote the OBJ exporter, is what happened. It's like that time that Blender got its OBJ exporter rewritten, and the UI for exporting got changed. It got changed so differently, and it was so not as useful as the old one. I wasn't using it for a while. I think this is good. So we're just going to pop down through here. That looks nice. That's good. See, that's that little So I can hide these, and we can get some, or we can put a nice on there. That looks like my rear. That is, I'm calling that ribs because I don't know what else to call it. And the ribs gets a trim. The sides, my straps, strap sliders. That's these two little things right here. I'm going to make fake displacement map sliders, trim, and top trim. I think we're good. All right, we are ready to save these out now. And then I'm going to set up the Genesis 8 ones really quick. All right, let's select one. We have selected the bottoms. I have a button for this, but most people don't have buttons. Most people have to do it this way. File, save as, support asset, figure prop asset, right down in there. But because that's cumbersome, I stuck a button on my toolbar. Yeah, all right, figure prop asset, and away we go. And we are going to come over here. And you probably know this as well as I do now. Beach party. We're in the sporty something. Sporty swim. There we go. People. This is Genesis 9. Clothing. There's the good old vanity folder. Aqua swim. Genesis 9. Oh, I should give this a name. I should. You know, I'm gonna rename this because right now it says sports swim. I'm just gonna call this Aqua. There we go. And we'll rename the other one Aqua. All right, now I'm going to save this back out. So here, I'll do it this way again. Save as support figure, figure prop asset. There we go. And I have to navigate again because I canceled it. Wah, wah. Sporty swim, people, 9, clothing, me, Aqua swim, and we're going to put it right here. Aqua swim, Genesis 9. Oh, Aqua swim. I got the bottoms. Bottom. And save that. All right, let's give this a product name. Aqua swim. That is good. We're going to tweak this. This is... I don't get a swimwear option on this one, so I'm going to just call you underwear and top. And I'm just going to accept... Oh, and then set the category. We do get a swimwear option for category. So I'm going to come down here, call you a tops, and this is actually the bottoms. Dough. Bottoms and bottom. And I think the rest of this is good. There's the... All right. So I got the vendor name, product name, item name, content type, set the category. I don't bother with compatibility bases. That's a database thing. And the rest of this is probably all good. Write that. I should maybe take a look at some of those other checkboxes because I keep ignoring them. All right, now we're going to do the top. And this time I'm just going to use my button because I hate going through navigating through menus. This is going to just be top. And that now Aqua Swim is in my options for the product. We're going to change this to be underwear top. This one I can say swimwear top. Force unique IDs. I don't think I never need to do that. These are, I do want our geometry. I do want the parameters, and we do want the UVs. I don't think, I have no idea what that does. That's some sort of, I think, database thing, probably database or Daz store. I don't know. I think the rest of this is good. I am not compressing my files. I guess I could. I'm just gonna leave it uncompressed. I always have the weird idea that I might actually need to open these up. Oh, I don't remember the last time I actually had to look at one of these inside a text editor to make changes. But if I wanted to, I could. So that's good. So that's the basic save on that. We'll do materials in a short bit. And then resave and start setting that stuff up. So I'm going to now do this for Genesis 8. So I'm just going to get rid of this. I'm going to save this. File, save as, scene. I'm going to make you a whip folder somewhere. I'm just going to call this Akvo whip. If I can remember where I'm going. Yep, beach party, swimwear, sporty swim. I'll just stick that here in the whip folder. Now if something goes bad, I guess I have a saved version right here. I can fix stuff. Oops. Alright, now let's just get rid of that. Now we'll just fit this to the Genesis 8. So let's load that in. And yes, I have a Genesis 8 load preset button along with Genesis 9 and some other stuff that I've forgotten what it is. And this has favorites marked as well. And it has this Mr. J's stream safe textures. So let's come to the content library. That is the spring outfit, Meadow Muse. I want sporty swim. Did I not? Where is this? My content library broke. I'm going to shut down Daz and reopen it. Because apparently my content library broke. It happens. We're just going to give Daz a little break here. I think after I get the Genesis 8 one, I'll open up Blender. And we can take a look at maybe the UV grid. I am surprised that there's not an easy way to change that grid. And there may not be. Which is a little, I don't know, Blender is really flexible on changing stuff, but every now and then you bump into something you have no control over. Alright, let's see if we can launch Daz again. Hey, there it goes. The Daz content management system can sometimes take a little while to close, and that's the reason why you can't relaunch it right away. Because Daz is still busy closing the CMS down. Alright, let's see how this is going. There we go, that's what I was looking for. Alright, let's get our Genesis 8 in here. Bum, bum, bum. Let me switch over to the. I like working with the perspective camera because it doesn't. You can't undo moves with that, which is kind of handy actually. So if I hit undo, it will not change the camera with the perspective camera. All right, I'm just gonna auto fit this using this Genesis 9 clone. I think I got it Daz, and I'm just gonna accept that. And it gets a lot of those settings that I just went and set up in the Genesis 9 version just right over into the Genesis 8 version. The shape may be a little off, but I'll update that. Hopefully I can update. That actually looks pretty clean. That was a nice auto fit. It's because it's a tight outfit, that also helps. And then we'll just do the same thing with the top. You know, I could say what type of item this is. I should have done that in the first place. I'm going to redo. I'm going to get these. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So anyhow, let's do the bottom again. This time, I'm going to tell it what kind of item it is. So I'm going to call that a full body and accept that. And then I'm just going to do the top, make sure my Genesis 8 is selected and not the bottom. And we're just going to call you that. And I think you're just full body again. And you know what? I'm going to try to load in my Genesis 8 version of this and see how it looks. We'll update the geometry for that. But this is, I'm going to switch over to the headlamp for what we're doing. Not too bad. I think I got a little bit of a weird bugaboo there, but that's fine. So if we take a look at this stuff, my surface names don't need to be fixed anymore because we already took care of that and you just pulled it over. We actually have a few adjustment morphs in this already. It's already got the smoothing on, and it's already got the sub D on it. So it's just a matter of maybe updating the shape. And let's take a look at how that. I'm going to just bring these in as morph targets just to see what they look like. And then if I like how that's looking, I might just update the geometry. And I'm lost. Let's try over here. This is pretty close. So, and what have I got selected? I forgot what I had selected. Damn it. And I can't move this. This dialog box isn't moving. Maybe I have the top. I can't recall. I had the bottom. So that's no good. I'm going to just get rid of that. And we'll load in the bottom. And let's take a look at, and I'm going to accept that. Hey, it loaded in as a morph target. That means the geometry is the same as the G9 version. Yay. That means when I did that sewing, I didn't screw anything up. Parameters. We'll come over here to morphs. And if I just dial in, that just barely moved, didn't it? Do I even need to update that? Oh, actually it moved a bit, didn't it? Actually, I almost like the that one. How am I? You know what? I think I'm not going to use that Genesis 8 generated shape. I think I'm just going to use this one. So I'm not going to save this out. Actually, I can remove this. We're just going to get rid of this. And then we're going to take a quick check of the top, see if how that's looking. So I am in edit mode. I have selected the dial, and I'm just going to delete that. Let's take a look at how the shape of this. You know, that's so good. I probably don't need to fix that or change that either. So this is the shape I saved out for Genesis 8 from Marvelous Designer. Let's see how that is. And then we're just going to come over here and dial that. Actually, do I like that? I actually kind of like that a little bit better than the auto. Maybe. Let's look mostly at this line. You know, it got a little bit smaller. Maybe I'm going to just leave it so they're more in line with each other. Yeah, I think I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use the auto fit shape. That did a nice job. So let's, I'm just going to delete that. I don't need it. These are good. We're probably going to, I'm going to make changes to this. I should have named these before I did the transfer. Anyhow, let's save these out, and we'll come back to this later. We're going to set this up now for texturing. So first things first, I got the top selected. Let's save that as a prop figure asset, and we're going to go over to our Genesis 8 folders. And there's that Aqua Swim for Genesis 8. Let's pop into there. And Aqua type Gen. I gotta rename this. Hold on. Cancel. Over in here. These should say G8. Ite. Female. There we go. Some days I just can't type. G8F female, and those change you to G8F female. G8 female. There we go. Alright, now let's save these out. I'm going to switch back to there. I've got the top selected. We're going to click on that. Come over here to the Genesis 8. And save that right there. Aqua top. Is that how I'm calling it? Am I calling you Aqua Swim? Aqua Swim top. G8 female. I think we'll do that. Product is Aqua Swim top. Oh, that's what I did. I did say Aqua Swim top. Excellent. Content type is follower, wardrobe. We're going to call you underwear and top. So category. It's going to be wardrobe, swimsuit, top, swimwear, top. Okay, that's saving that out. All right, now we'll do the bottom. Bottom, save, set category, wardrobe, swimwear, bottom. Also, I'm going to change this. Oh, and I got to make sure this changes the product. Follow wardrobe, underwear, bottom, and accept. Damn it. I'm going to have to redo that, and I'm going to get rid of, it just created stuff in the data folder, so I'm going to clear that out. I forgot to tell it the name of the product. So we're going to clean up that data directory for that stuff I just created. Where are you? Beach party parties. There we go. So we're going to, nope, I went the wrong way. There should be a, there we go. We're going to go. So all of that stuff when you saved gets saved here. But that thing just got saved here in this folder, product, which I don't want. I want it over here in the Aqua Swim. So I'm just going to delete that. And we're going to save it again. This time in the right, with the right name. So I'm going to overwrite that. Nope. Overwrite that. I've got the, no, I'm doing the wrong one. Which one did I just break? Let's take a look. I got the top for Genesis 8 done, so we're doing the bottom. So I am doing the bottom. Okay, I am going to tell it, there we go. That's what I forgot to do last time. It still remembers it's a bottom here, so that's good. Set you to be a swimsuit bottom. Accept that. Now this should be good. We'll just pop up over here. And now it's saved our data into the right spot. So, yay. Alrighty, I'm going to just, while we're here, I'm just going to save these out for texturing, and then we're going to take a quick little detour in the blender for a little bit. Let's see how fast I can make a micro clip-on camera. So I'm going to just do one accessory for this, and we're just going to have just a little action mini camera that we can just put onto this strap here. Kind of like a GoPro or an Insta360. It's going to be more like an Insta360. It's going to be small. It's going to be kind of a pill shaped, and it's going to just be able to clip on that strap. And I'm going to maybe set that to rig up so you can pivot it around some. I don't want to spend too much time with that because I do want to get to texturing maybe about 3 o'clock. So if I'm not too far along on this, I'm probably going to just jump back to texturing. And then on a later time, we will get back to finishing this up and using it as like a rigid follow node. Anyhow, what am I doing? I'm going to change colors. And we're going to save this out, just this for Substance Painter. So let's go over to the Surfaces tab. And let's take a look at these. So I'm going to give each of these an individual color. And that's where my handy dandy shader folder comes in. Hello, handy dandy shader folder. And I just have these quick colors. Daz PAs do have a little utility that recolors things, except that the selection of colors is a little not large enough, and it tends to get repeated, so I don't use it. I tend to just go through and do these manually. So we're just going to go through here one at a time and plop different colors on these. And then this will become the ID map later on. We will make our ID map in Substance Painter from this version here with these colors saved. I think I am going to open this up and resave it out of Blender just to smooth my mesh a little bit. Substance Painter likes smoother meshes, and Daz sometimes doesn't quite do that. I'm not sure what the settings are to get that to work in Daz, frankly. So we're just setting up these. Each one gets a different color. All right, and then I'm just going to export this out. We're going to turn. I'm going to take the mesh resolution down and the smoothing off. I think I can do that if I select both at once. Come to parameters, grab both of these like that, and unfortunately this is kind of jumbled up, so it makes it harder to find anything. There's resolution. We'll switch those both to base, and now we're looking for mesh smoothing, enable smoothing. I'm going to turn that off. I'm having to double click because I'm still in edit mode. I'll turn edit mode off. Now I'm just going to export this out like this. I'm going to do them both together. They both sit on the same map, so just one map sheet works for both the top and the bottom. So I'm just going to export this way, the way you normally would export. I have, of course, a button on the side for this, but export. See, I'm still in Marvelous Designer. That's where I exported last. Let's do whip. There we go. Let's put this into a folder for my substance stuff. And you can't see that because it showed up behind chat. But here we're going to go Aquo Swim. And I'm going to say IDs because this is going to have my my materials. All right, we are exporting at 1%. I am just, so this is my normal export settings. 1% because I work in meters in Blender. Most of this stuff I've never really checked, but I do want invisible nodes. The things I'm worried about, I check filtered objects, so only the things I have selected get exported. That's not on by default. Write groups. We are going to write surfaces here and write a material library, and I'm just going to accept that. Now I have to do this one more time because substance will torture you if you bring in something with a whole bunch of materials on it. So we're going to export this once again. So this one's going to have no materials or no surfaces. And I just say NM. It's just how I keep track of these things. And I'm just going to uncheck write surfaces and save that. And that's the version we actually will load into Substance. And the other version is how we get this ID map. So I think I'm good here. So we're going to go play in Blender real quick to try to model this like mini cam, clip-on sports camera. And we're first going to take a look at the UV grid. So we're going to run off a little bit and see if I can figure that out. Might not be able to, but we'll give it a shot. And I am using the Blender 4.4. I did get my UV Packmaster set up to work with that one. So this is the latest and greatest. There is the little flow splash screen. If you haven't seen it, Flow was a nice movie. I recommend it. Check it out. It makes it's so cute, and I understand done entirely in Blender. So a very good movie. Did it win the Academy Award? I think it was at least nominated. I don't know if it won or not. So we're going to do this. First off, I want to just resave. And I do want that, actually I do want that in because I'm going to use it as a guide for modeling my little clip cam. I want that cam just to be a little bit larger than the strap maybe. So let's do an import there. And where am I? Does this mean anything? Nope, that's the Rebel outfit. Nope, that's the Metal Muse outfit. I'm just going to have to go navigating. I am still in the dresses folder. We are looking for our beach party. And this is the Sporty Swim 2025. I'm going to come in here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this one. I'm going to import that. We're going to come over here. Alright, you see how everything is not smooth? It's I'm going to smooth the normals out and save it back out. So we're just going to do a save smooth. I'm going to then export you out. We're going to come over here. I'm going to override this one right here. I'm going to use my operator preset, which basically is selected only, and a few other things. I don't need the material, so we're going to check that off. Although I think I only have one material set, so it would probably be fine. Alright, that's good. I'm going to hide you. I want to bring in the one with the IDs. Also, I want to save that back out as smooth. And this time I want the materials. I'm going to overwrite that. And then I want to model my camera to fit right about there. So I think, so let's go take a look. We can take a look at our UV editing on this. Also lets me catch any really bad bugaboos, I guess, at this point. So we want to get this grid to be 10 and not 8. Where would you hide that? Is that even an option? This works fine for me because I really don't pay attention to the grid other than I need center lines. Also, while we're here, we can save our template. Since we're right here, let's get this template saved out because I'm going to need that eventually too. I'm going to export my UV layout. I'm just going to come over here, but we're going to put this into our template folder. Akvo swim. Let's do that. And let's call you Akvo swim UVs. And let's set our resolution to 4K or 4096 by 4090. That's 7096. 4096. All right, export. So now I've got my template done. All right, let's pop out of here. Let's go into layout mode. And no, I was in here for a reason. We're going to see if there's a way to change the grid in UV layout. Let's see if there's an answer. This is the only way I'm going to be able to figure it out. Blender, add just grid in UV layout view. I don't know, let's try that. Go to overlays menu, choose grid, and then adjust the scale value to change the grid size. Let's see if that actually works. Or let's see if the AI overview is lying to us. The overlay. Let's move you over here for a sec. Let's move you over this way. And are you my overlays? Gizmo. Overlays. Grid. No, that has to do with the big grid. I think. I don't know. Let's take a look at that. So these are the tiles. What is the fixed subdivision? Why do you say 10? And yet you show 8 over here. I would have thought that's... Does that do anything? No. So I know what these are. These are these grids, right? That's if you need to see the grid for your UDIMs. Oh, there it is. It happened, dude. It happened. I don't know if you're still here. There it is, right there. You switch the grid to dynamic, and then you can change that to what you want. So there you go. It's now 10 by 10. I'm not sure how you actually save this. There's got to be a way to save these. Yo, Art, how are you doing? That's right, join the Discord. It's always a party in the Discord. You know, I should have lined that up better. Too late. Anyhow, so you can change this grid. Look at that. And there's probably a way to save the preferences. Should probably. I keep changing some of these layouts and I keep forgetting to set them. So anyhow, there you go. We've changed the UV grid from 8 to 8 to 10 by 10. So once again, we'll just recap. You come over here in UVs to the overlays grid, set it to fixed, and then you can just adjust the fixed subdivisions there. The tiles, those are for your UDIMs, which is handy if you're using UDIMs and you need to see those. So clicks it out. Well, just drove home through that Pennsylvania Turnpike. You've been Pennsylvania Turnpike? Jeez, dude. Does that go all the way to wherever you live in Virginia? A place not to be named. While you were in Pennsylvania, did you stop by and say hi to DJ Ray? Hmm. At the DJ Ray compound. Actually, you don't want to drop in unannounced because, then you will vanish and never be heard from again. Um, all right. I'm just going to block this out real quick. I really want to just do texturing, but here, let me get my camera set up. Or maybe we'll work on the camera. Let's do a file save as and put you somewhere into our Akvo swim. No, over here. Right in here. Akvo camera. And I'm going to save that right there. And you know what? I'm going to just basically start with a cube. And we're going to just tab into here. And I'm just going to kind of... Yo, Statler and Waldorf, how you doing? I'm making a new swimsuit from scratch. We started on Thursday. I'm in Blender for a little bit just to kind of start a camera. Am I in? I am not. Let's pop into here. Let's look at this from the front. Let's scale this down. I'm going to go online. We're going to go camera shopping for a second here. I want to get real world camera dimensions if I can. I'm going to log out of my Amazon account. That did not work. Let's try this again. Sign out. There we go. Sports camera. I want a teeny little clip-on sports camera. I should probably... something like this. So let's see how big this thing is. And then I'm going to make mine about that. And that's going to be the camera that I'm going to clip onto her swimsuit. So do we have dimensions for you? And it goes underwater. Yay, that works. Look at how big that is. Is that even 2 inches? This is just inspiration. I'm not actually going to copy this, but man, I forgot I was trying to time our turn south to coincide with the partial eclipse this morning between raindrops. Couldn't see it directly, however. Oh, nuts. With the effect of an iPhone, you can see it was partially blocked. Oh, cool. Do I get dimensions? See more product details. Is it in here somewhere? That's the package dimensions. 7. This is almost 8 by 4 by 2. You know what? I'm just going to kind of guess and then we'll just work it out. Because after all, this is the CC Electronics. Let's pop out here and see what our size is. I'm going to block these out. What do I want this? So the Z size is going to be how long I want it to be. I think I'm going to make it 0.07. And then we'll make it maybe 0.2, 0.02. That did not work. 0.0. My dumb lock is off. You idiot. And then we'll just make that really thin. So here, let's do this. Let's apply my transforms. Let's scale that down. You know what? Let's Scale that up a little bit. I think I'm going to start with this. Let's take a look from the front, and let's just line this up on my strap, and then I'm going to rescale it and recenter it. Yeah, I want that to be smaller. So I think I'm going to put this camera on there. All right, let me put you back to 0. I might scale it further later on. And I'm going to, I don't know, there's a lot of details on here, and I don't think I want to spend that much time on this today. So I'm just going to kind of block this out real quick. I'm going to just bevel. Dang it. I want to just bevel these edges. Kind of give it a kind of a capsule or pill shape. I don't know, whatever you call that. Maybe something like that. I need to put some sort of connector on the back that I can pivot and rotate so you can point the camera a little bit better once you got it clipped on. We're just going to give those a slight bevel. Oh, I like that. I think I'll put a camera part right there, and maybe we'll put our mount back in here. We'll just add a couple little panels on the tops for things that might act as buttons, or yeah, actually let's steal this face. Actually, I think I'm going to put a port over here, but I'm just going to put a cover on it. Actually, we're going to put the cover over here. I'm just going to add a little round button and another little round button. And then we'll put a little light there, and then I'll just put a little lens here, and then I'll build in a clip on the back. So let's Shift A. Let me get a cylinder in here. And do I want to put one level of sub D on this? I think I will. So we'll lower this to 16. And then we'll rotate that 90. So that's just going to be the lens housing. I'll make buttons out of that. Let's put a little bevel on there. Actually, we'll just do that. We'll just do a little chamfer on that. And let me, we'll put a grid fill on this. I'll pretend I know what I'm doing. And let's get rid of that face. I don't need that. All right, we'll do that. That'll make me look like I'm a pro here. Using a grid fill instead of just a bunch of tries. Hey, there we go. That looks pretty. And then I'm just going to do this twice for the top. That's summing up there. Let's just do that. And let's just add another one for your different controls. I'm going to make a lens thing out of this. And I'm just going to put a little square over here as if there's like a USB type of port. So I don't know, maybe we just do this. Actually, I'm just going to put a shape there. Let's just Shift D that. want to pull that off for just a second. We're just going to do an extrude. I'm just going to kind of put a little break on that. Make that a little bit smaller. And this actually clips over the port or something, so I'm not actually going to make a port. Kind of do that. It's looking fine. This is going to be the lensy thing, so Control L, and I'm going to kind of, you're going to kind of sit right about, I think you're just going to, let's make that maybe a little bit larger. It's going to hang over that edge just a little bit. It's going to look a little sloppy. So I'm just going to put that kind of over in there. I'm just going to add a little bit of detail on the back side of that. Get rid of this. Are you a little bit, you need to be a little bit smaller actually. Scale, but not Y. All right, now I'm just going to put that right about there. Let's put a little chamfer on this edge. Let's bring this back. Nope. I'm going to bring you in just a little. I'll probably put a and let's extrude you, and I'm going to put the curve on with a bevel, and then I'm going to flatten that out, and I'm going to grid fill the front of that, and that's going to be basically the lens. All right, let's tweak that offset like that. There we go. I like that. That's prettier. I'm going to flatten this out a little on the Y. Then we're just going to slide it back. Actually, I think I'm going to just scale that down a little bit. I think like that. I think that's just going to be the base camera. Shade smooth. Can we auto smooth maybe? What happens if we put a, if I use a sub D on this? That's not too bad. Although I think I might sharpen up this edge. Oh, I probably should grid fill that edge. Sharpen that edge. And that. Did that not? It's probably fine. All right, let's see how our grid fill works on this. I might drop a center line in here, but we'll delete that off. How's the old grid fill look on that? I probably should add some more geometry through the center line. But let's see if I can rotate that around. You know what? Actually, that works. Yeah, all right, we'll do the same thing back here. Let's go the other way. I like that. That looks nice. I think I'm going to mark a few seams in here so it UV wraps better. But I think that's going to be kind of it. Then I'm just going to add a clip on that. And I want to be able to twist it so you can tilt it this way and this way, but also swing it around a little bit so you can adjust where it's pointing at some. So I'm probably going to put a little thing in here and then run a clip with 2 parts in the back. And then when this gets done, I'm going to probably detail this out more later. I think I'm going to stop on this. Let's hit save here. So this is in progress. So and this is just, I just wanted to add a little accessory to this outfit. So that's what we're going to go with. Just a little action camera. Just to add a little, make it a little more unique. And an Uzi. You know, I have an Uzi I never finished. So anyhow, we have exported this out. We have started the camera. We're going to go back to the camera and use and set it on here with a rigid follow node. But right now we're just going to hop over and get the texturing started in the Substance Painter, and then get our base material set up. And I'm not sure. I want sporty themes, so probably I'm going to probably set up like maybe spandex, and we're going to probably set this up with a. This can either be hidden. I do have to make the displacement map, so we'll do that. We'll probably do that first, but we're going to do that with Substance Painter. Anyhow, let's get Substance Painter launched here. Do I have anything running that I don't need anymore? I don't really need you. I think I'm happy with where we are. So I think I have saved you, but I'm hitting save, and we're going to close Marvelous Designer for today. And we're going to open up Substance Painter. Substance Painter 3D. Do I want to put stitches on here? I don't know. I might just trace them out and debate whether we'll use them later. I'm going to close that. Let's do file. Let's move this so that I can still see chat in case somebody actually says something. And we're just going to do this, and we'll do new. All of these are my standard OpenGL. I like to work it like. Do I want to try a higher? Let's try a higher one and see how boggy. I haven't used this. Normally I do 2K working at because sometimes things get bogged down. But let's try this. We might switch back. All right, let's go grab our mesh projects. Beach party. Sporty swim. Right there. Whip and substance and Aquo swim, no materials. And I can see it off to the side, no materials. Yay. All right, let's open that up. Let's bake our mesh maps. Mode. Bake mesh maps. I'm already set up to bake my normal, my world space, my ambient occlusion, curvature, and position. I don't need the other ones for the way I work. So let's bake those. Try to catch me tonight. So tired. Hey, take care, Art. Thanks for popping in. Always a pleasure to see you, man. And I hope we do catch you tonight. Okay, it's good. Now we're going to bake the ID map. It needs its own special settings. There's the one with our colors. You can see that. Ooh, so colorful. Open that. I set that at 4K, and I want to get these cages really tight. For the other maps, I don't want that to be too tight because I want them to be smooth. It's too tight to get too jaggedy. But for this one, I want it to be as tight as possible so I can get the best resolution on that, best fidelity on that ID map. I think I'm good. Let's check that. So I'm just going to bake the ID map. Bake. Look at how nice and sharp that was. Okay, we're going to save the ID map out. Export texture. I have to save. I haven't saved this. Dang it. I got to save this. So, you know what? I don't need any of this. This is all garbage. Because the file name gets baked into the texture, so I have to make sure I save a file name first, which I haven't done yet. Save as. Oh, I'm in dresses. I'm going back to the beach party. Back to our sporty swim. Right there. My whip folder. And this, I'm going to put this in the substance folder here. And your Aqua swim. And just to do that. Okay, now I'm going to save out the ID map. Export texture. I have a template set up with the ID map, just saving ID maps somewhere in here. The oddly named exclamation point Seacox ID. I want that one. We're not using UDIMs, so I just need the one for IDs. There it is. There it is. I'm going to make a displacement map really quick with this ID map. And I'm going to, this is going to get a little bit of work because we're going to put slides on this. So I'm also going to use part of this for the, I think I've got time to do the slides. And my brain has stopped. I'm cutting this. We're going to run over to, I need a, somewhere near here, but over here. I'm going to put my template right there, paste that there. Let's open you up with Photoshop. Open with, there we go, Photoshop. I'm going to go grab our template file in a second here. Because we're going to use this ID map and the template file to make a displacement map. And that's how we fake thickness, or that's how I fake thickness. You can fake thickness however you want, but this is the way I do it with a displacement map. That way I can make clothes really dynamic without having to worry about the weird stuff that happens when you have to play around with mesh thickness. I know it's a little janky, but it works. Or at least I think it works. Okay, we're going to fill in black for the areas outside the template. So I've got my template here. I'm going to select those. We're going to pop over here, and here let's switch you over to black and white and do a fill with a foreground color. Boom is good. Control Shift I. This is going to be the starting point for our displacement map. So I'm going to, nope, I'm going to make a new layer. I'm going to fill that in with white. I'm going to move you over here. Also, I'm just going to make a black layer in the background here. New layer. Let's turn off the that, and let's just fill this in with black. That way it's hiding the stuff in the background. And I don't think I need you right now. Okay, our first First things first, I'm going to just put a little bit of a inner glow with black using this contour on the edges. So that's going to give me a little bit of a displacement lift. I'm going to say okay to that. So where is my straps? So these straps, oh, you got a little bit of a split in there. I'm going to have to clean you up. Actually, for this one, I'm going to make these black. So I just want to select this. Well, that drifted off just a little bit, didn't it? How did that happen? It must have drifted a little bit in Marvelous Designer. I'm going to hide these. I'm just going to delete these off from here. And I'm just going to fill these in. Yeah, there we go. So, and then let's add another layer. This is where the slides are going to be. So I'm going to actually build a displacement slide. So we're going to touch up an opacity map for these. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white displacement maps on these. And then we're going to kind of adjust this to make it look like there's a slide on top of that. You can go away. So how am I going to do this? Let's add a new layer in here. And then I'm just going to have to add these in with the color later. Or I think I can probably add an ID map for this in Substance, and then use that for making a material zone, probably. That's so complicated. Actually, I think I can do that. I think I can update this. Something like that. I don't know. I'm confusing myself because I don't do this a lot. Let's Control D that. Let's get this up so I can actually kind of see where this grid is. I'm going to kind of make a slide shape in here. I'm just going to do that really quick with PowerPoint, because it's just easier for me to draw fast in PowerPoint. So I'm just going to take one of these. I want that to kind of be like that. And then we're just going to put these two together like so. And then I'm just going to put a really thick outline on these. And that's just going to build my slider. And I think, yeah, this is in the right orientation. So let's get my format object up in here. I'm going to do lines. I'm going to do a fill. We're going to say no fill. And then I'm just going to make those lines really thick. And that's basically the slider shape. I might adjust that a little bit as we need to kind of fit. I think that'll be good. Can I just, I'm going to put a white box behind it because I'm going to need that when I make a copy of this. Send you to the back. Make you a solid white and no outline. And then I'm just going to grab these, Control C. Let's see how this lines up in the Photoshop. Control V. There we go. You're a little weird color. Let's see if we can fix that. What color are you? You should be black. You're not black. There, now you're black. I might change those colors later. Control C over here. So I'm going to put my slider right in here. Control V, Control T, and let's line that up. So I'm going to just fake this hardware right in here. Done. Let's just get rid of this stuff. Actually, let me select. Actually, let me back this up just a little bit. I want to trim this out over here. Select, modify, expand, just by 1, so I don't have any white fringing on the edge of that. Okay, Control D, Control I, Control T. We're getting there. Oh, something happened in chat. Away from keyboard for a bit. Going to walk in the nice weather today. Thanks for the help. The overlay stuff. I can't see chat. Was hidden until you expanded the UV window. I hate it when that happens. Dang. All right, catch you later, Napsmore. Thanks for popping in. Enjoy your walk in the nice weather. All right, we're lining up our sliders. I want this to just kind of like be like that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch up. So I am working, I'm going to make a copy of this. And I'm going to use this to kind of make a, and I just need a little opacity map for this. So let's just turn that off. Let's turn that off. Oh, I got a little bit of an outline on some of this, don't I? I've got to clean that up. You are over here, I believe. There's just this little light line right in there. I'm going to get rid of that. I think I can just erase that out. Let's tweak my eraser settings. The hardness is good. Okay, there we go. I'm going to tweak you down a little bit smaller, easier to work with. Bring you around through here. So that cleans that up. Let's get the other side. All right, so that is good. I also need this on the other strap, so let's duplicate you. And I'm going to say select. I should name these so I can keep track of them. Slider. I don't know, one of these is left and one of these is right. I don't know which is which. So, you know what, I'm just going to say slider 02 and slider 01. And these are the opacity versions of this. And I need to see this again. Okay, so that needs to come over here. Somewhere right about there. Let's go take a look. So that's going to make that. Do I have my little outline in here? I probably have to clean that outline up over here, don't I? I do. Okay. On right there. All right, looks good. I can save this as a slider opacity map and then just use it on the slider parts here. So we'll do that right now. File. Do I want to say export or save as a copy? Let's do export as I am in the 50s Rebel folder. Let's go to the beach party, to the sporty swim. To the I don't know. Runtime, textures. I need a folder in here for our textures. New folder. Acvo swim. And you're going to be Acvo swim sliders trans or alpha. Opacity. There we go. All right, and then the way I'm going to use that is we come back here. And then right here is just this little spot here, and then I can just put that opacity map on that. Right in here, cut out opacity. I can just drag and drop that, right? Runtime. Oh, I went too far. Right in here. Runtime, da da da, yada yada, yada yada. There we go. Yeah, that is the opacity map for that one material zone. So I'm just going to put you right there. Then we come over here. You can kind of see everything's blocked off with the sliders. There we go. All right, back to work. So that's out of the way. I'm going to put this back on. Where am I? Why is my effect not coming on anymore? Oh, there it is. I was clicking where I thought it was, but I had to actually click this one. All right, so we're good. So I got that back on. So we're going to put a on here. I should just combine these two. They're lined up now. Let's go to, actually, let's double check. Wow. That one is fine. That one's fine. I need to take a look at this. Where is this? I had my pictures. I need to take a look at the reference photos to see how the strap looks in the back. Not that I'm overly concerned about accuracy. Okay, it's under, over, under. So that's what we're trying to recreate there. So I need to actually add a gradient in here. So my displacement is going to go down and up and down. And then we also want to add a little bit of displacement on that. I am totally ignoring those rings. So don't even look at them. Stop it. So what I need to do is, so on this one here, we need to add a little gray zone. And then here we're going to trim that out. And then here we're going to just put that little gray zone. And then I need to just copy that stuff over to the other side. I do want to combine these. Merge layers. There we go. So I think I'm going to double click and add a inner glow, kind of like that. I'm going to tweak this kind of like that. I think I'm going to back this off a little bit somewhere like so. I think I might add a little bit of an outer glow on that as well. Oh, that's how I can do it. I might be able to. Let's try this. Outer glow. And let's make you like that. There we go. That might do the trick. Let's see how this looks. And actually, if I just trim this a little bit. I'm going to turn this off for just a second because I want to see where that line is. Maybe right about in there. Okay, I'm going to tweak that because I want this to come. So here, actually, let's do it with this turned on. I deleted the wrong one. Maybe like that. What are you? You're just in the way. Let's get you out of the way. And now I lost Photoshop. So is that what I want it to look like? I'm close. You know, that's probably gonna work. And then I'm gonna save this. Although maybe I'll make the outer glow on this a little larger. And then I just need to touch this up a little bit. I might end up rasterizing this so I can adjust these a little bit. But before I do that, I think I need to make a copy. I don't know, let's make that size. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay. I do want to make a copy of this, duplicate layer. And I'm just going to turn those effects off, and I'm just going to make that a solid color. And I'm going to re-export out my ID map that I'm going to update in Substance Painter with. I think I've had too much coffee. My hand's getting a little jittery. He said having more coffee. Also, I haven't really eaten. That never helps. And then I just got to adjust the slider on the other side. Let's go trim it first. So I'm gonna hide you. And you know what? I'm gonna actually get rid of you. And then we're gonna adjust this. That went. Why is that glow? Oh, because I have the stuff in the middle still. And let's try that. Is that what I want? Maybe a little bit further. Probably something like that might work. And I'm just going to duplicate. this. Turn that off. Alright, I'm going to resave my ID map. I'm going to color these in with something. I don't know. Let's see what we have on. Okay, hide the sliders. Hide that. Hide that. And I need a unique color for this so that I can give it a material in whatchamacallit. I'm thinking. Let's come over here. Let's do that. Let's just get some sort of like that. And does that work? That works. I don't know. I think. Let me just make sure I don't have. I don't think I have that color. Okay. Let's resave this. I'm going to do save as a copy with this one. And we're going to call you ID map 2. Save that. Okay, now we're going to save out the displacement map. So we've got the opacity map for the sliders. Now we're going to save out the displacement map for the whole. Actually, I still have to do some trim setup, so we'll do that real quick. Anyhow, I don't need you. I do want you. I do want you. I don't need you. Well, I do need you. So I'm going to hide you for a second. And I need a new layer in here. But first we're going to just select out all the trim. And I'm going to turn off. I'm going to turn off, make it contiguous, so that I have to kind of just do this. And we're just selecting, so we're going to use displacement map on the trim a little bit. I might tweak some of this stuff later, but I think this is going to give me the basic displacement map, aka fake thickness that I need. Nope, I clicked on the wrong thing. Are we good to go? I think I'm good to go. I think you're just going to come in here. Did I not set new layer? Okay. I'm going to fill that in with white. Should be good. I can now bring you back. Hide you. Bring you back. And then I need to add my glowy stuff to this. Inner glow. I'm also going to put an outer glow on this. And I'm going to back that. Up like this. And my inner glow isn't black anymore. I do not need an inner shadow. I need the inner glow to be black again. I think like that. And actually, do I want this outer glow? Control D because I can't see what I'm doing. Maybe the outer glow should be black on that as well. All right, let's see how this looks. All right, hit save as. That is Daz. There's save as. Yep, we're just gonna not TIFF. Apparently I saved as a TIFF last. Let's save you as a Photoshop PSD. And then we're going to say this is the displacement map. So file export as export, and you're just going to be Aqua Swim Displacement. Hey, I still have almost a half hour left. All right, let's see how this works. Let's do both at the same time. So somewhere in here, I have something that says displacement map. And I now have my displacement map here. So let's put you on. And let's make sure, let's set my displacement level to 6. And let's do a test render and see how this is looking. I'm going to back it up just a little bit so I can see part of the bottom. But I really want to see how the displacement map is looking on that strap. See if it looks like a piece of geometry in there. So the color is not right yet, but we should see the slider popping up. That's running a little slow. I am seeing the displacement. I think that's going to work. And then in Substance, we're going to paint that. We're going to color that part in that goes over the strap of metal. So that kind of works. You can kind of see it. This is a little rough. Why are you so rough? I might have to tweak some settings to get those. My sub D may be doing something funky. See, you look smooth, but you don't look so smooth. Oh, now you can start to see it. There's the slider. So it's just fake detail. And you are smooth, but you know so smooth. Same thing here. You smooth, you know so smooth. Let's close that. Let's say yes. Actually, I'm going to switch you over to and see if I can quickly just change our subdivision model. Oh, now it looks smooth. What the frick? But when I render, all right, we're making progress. We're going to work on the coloring now. So I resave that ID map. So I need to get into Substance Painter so I can retexture just this part where the slider is. Let's turn that off. And let's pop back over. So I think we can just save that. Yeah, but that's my shooting hand. And I have saved out the other displacement map. So let's pop over to Substance Painter. I don't need. There is the Substance Painter. I'm going to do that. I'm going to load in the other ID map and use it for the color selecting, I think. There's a way to do that. Let's try it. Let's see if I can remember how that is. I'm going to import a resource. I'm going to use this here, and we're going to use this for the ID map instead of the one that's currently in here. So let's import that. Oops, let's cancel that. What are my options? I'm just going to say texture, and let's put the good old Seacox identifier on there. Okay, so there's a way to replace this with the one I brought in, and I don't remember how to do that. I need to be able to look at mesh maps or something. Go back to paint. Is that what I need? Somewhere over in, not the layers, texture set settings. I think, can I just do this? I think so. Yes, there we go. Now I've got the ID map updated, and now I've got to take a metal. I can, okay, we can start dropping textures in on this now, and I think we're good. So I'm going to go back to my layers, and we're going to come over. I need to push you down so I can see that full. Spandex. I kind of really like this one, so we'll just start with that as our base, and I'm in ID. Let's switch back to not metallic, material. I'm going to start with that. You know, I could probably load the displacement in here for a fake height map. You know what? Maybe I'm just going to do that just so we can kind of see. Let me add a fill layer. Let's come over here. File. No. Import resources. Add resource. Yeah, let me get my displacement map. Open that up. That is just for this project, and I'm just going to call you a texture. And let's do an import with that. And I got this fill layer here, and all I want on this fill layer is the height. Maybe we'll do the do this, but I need to do a. There we go. Now we can kind of see that height map playing with this displacement map. And I can also put a filter on here to turn this into a normal map as well. I think. Where's my normal map? Here's my normal map. I'm gonna look at the normal map for a second here, because we're gonna do add a filter, and there should be like a height to normal. Height to normal. I don't see nothing. I should see something, but I see nothing. I don't know. That's annoying. Height to normal is flakier than it should be. Because if we come over here to a height map, right? Nope, I don't see my height map. But you're right there. I see it right there. And yet I don't see it. I see it, but I don't see it. Oh, I know. Am I looking at the wrong? I'm looking at the wrong ones. I was looking at the mesh maps. Duh. There's my normal map. Okay. We're cool. We're cool. Let's come over here. Let's tile up our spandex. Because that is way too big. I think maybe even a little smaller than that. I think that's going to be good. Let's come over here. So that, you know, that height map is they always look really strong in here. And now I can start designing. So there's the basic black, and then I can just recolor that. I'm thinking. Let me get my dirt and see how it's lining up in here. One of these things. What are you? You're my base boots. There's that dirt I like. You know what? I'm just going to say basic black and see how that looks, and then kind of try to think of sporty. And that's what it looks like if we make it really grungy. So I'm going to turn that off for a second. I'm going to just save these out as the spandex settings. I don't know, maybe that height map is coming in a little strong, but let's take a look at in here. So maybe I'll back that up a little bit. And maybe we can tweak the... Well, now I can tweak the normals because I can actually see them. So it's much too strong. I can adjust that in here, I think. 0.2 surface detail size. I don't know. Set that back. I like that. There we go. I'm starting to get something that looks a little better. What do we say? 0.5. That's a little too strong, maybe. So I think I'm going to dial you back to maybe 0.3. We'll make a nice normal map. I think that's going to... What is going on here? You know what? I think I forgot. I don't know. Let me take a look. Is this stuff... Did I select this stuff or did it not get done? Nope, it's selected. It's just... Yeah, it's just the way the normal map generates, I guess. Probably fine. You know what? I'm going to export this out and put it on and see how this goes. Oh, and I want to do the slide colors. Let's do one of those. Let's switch you back to material. I'm just going to put a silver on this. And that's just showing up, but that goes away with our opacity map. So let's come over here. Silver armor. So I'm just going to plop that right onto there. Hopefully I selected it. And we'll also put a gold. There we go. Ain't that pretty? I think that's good. Let me check. The height map here is set to normal. Let me check our normal map here is set to normal. That's good. I like that. Do I want to even... I think I want to just put a height and a normal map just for this on here. So I think I'm just going to take this and put a color on here. So let me, let's try this. Let's duplicate that. Let's put that over here. And then what I want to do is just put a color selection on that. So we'll put a black mask on that. And I'm just going to add a color selection. And I'm just going to put it on that. And did I lose my height to normal map here? No, it's still there. Okay. I think that's good. I think that gives me the proper. We'll try this. Control Shift E. And export. And I just did the ID map because I didn't change the settings. Let's use the template for 6 channels because that'll have an opacity for that. Okay, now we open up that. I don't need you. I'm going to come over here and call you black. I'm probably going to make that maybe a little darker. But for right now, then we're just going to cut all of this, pop over to here, paste those in here. Let's adjust you. And then let's drop this on the outfit here. And I am going to need to adjust the opacity map for just that. And let's select that and that. Do this. All right, so the metallic map goes there. The color is going to just come right into here. Let's switch you to white. Let's try that again because the color didn't drop in. There's my color. Where's my roughness? There's my roughness. Roughness has been applied. We got opacity. I'm just going to put that right there. We don't need an emissive. Displacement strength is already set. I got a normal map for here. And I got a height map for over here for the bump map channel. Okay, and then I just need to do the strap slider and fix the opacity for that. All right, let's see how this is looking. I'm going to color the trim, I think. And I might dial back the strength of the height and normal maps on the edges. All right, let's stop that. I'm going to make this darker, and I'm going to maybe make these not so strong. And then I think we'll call it a day there. I'll probably... Well, I don't want to work on this off stream, because this one I want to do completely on stream if I can. So anyhow, let's go back to Spandexy. Let's make our color a little... Do I get an option for colors? There it is. Yeah, we're going to make you a little darker. Okay, I want to take a look at how do my straps... I don't need you. Let's see how the sliders were looking. Let's just run a sim on that while I come over here and play with this. I'm just gonna dial these back so they aren't nearly as powerful, I think. So let's take this one. And you know what? What am I doing? I'm looking at the normal on that. So let's take a look at the normal here. And if I just slide you back, yeah, I think I'm just going to do that. We'll dial that back a little. And then let's take a look at our height. And let's go take a look at the height map. And I think I'm going to just dial that back a lot. Maybe like so. Do I want to add a little bit of a blur to that, maybe? Maybe. Let me put a little blur on here. Let's add a filter. Let's do a little blur. And let me tweak that blur intensity, maybe a little, not quite that. Maybe a little bit more. And now let's take a look at our material here. I think I'm going to resave this. Let's go take a look at how our render's looking over on the Daz side. Nope. Yep, I like that. I think that's going to work. That looks like a slider. It's fake. It's a little larger than it probably should. Well, these are giant strips too. These are giant straps. So it'll probably be fine. All right, so let's stop that. Say okay, click you off, back over to here, and then I'm just going to save this out. And I'm just going to assign some colors to the trims and save it once more. Where am I? I'm over here, Control-Shift-E, export, over to the export folder, call you black. Grab all of this, Control-X that, pop back over here to the swim, Control-V. Yes, let's replace 6 files. That is kind of like a sum check. Tells me whether or not I've got the right things named. Over here, this should just automatically update to the new files because of the way we set it. And I'm going to just change the colors of the trims to just a standard color. So I'm going to just do that. Front panel trim, right trim. And you know what? I'm going to probably swap that out with a fishnet for now. What else? Strap trim. Did I get all my trims? I think I got all my trims. I'm going to take the opacity off on those. There's a little bit of opacity on this. You normally probably won't even notice it. But I think for this I'm just going to remove this map, say none. And I think I'm just going to go with maybe an aqua or something here. So let's go take a look at my cool shader color selections. We can either make it maybe lime green. Am I in a lime green mood? Or do I want a punchy aqua turquoise, which is an awful lot like aqua cyan? Let's just do that. There we go. And you know what? I'm going to just drop a fishnet on here. Excellent. And then down here, you know what? Let's put fishnet on the sides. And then let's put that border trim and waist trim. And let's take that opacity off on that. And let's make those, there we go. And I'm going to go with this. Let's do a save. We are in Genesis 8. That is the top. I want to save that right there. I got to save the category again. And then we're going to call it a day here. Next time we're working on this, I don't know, maybe we'll do the morphs. maybe we'll do the other material files. And we still have to make the camera. You are swimwear top. And then we want to find somebody to raid. Let's save you out. You are the bottom. I'm just checking my time. 3:58. We're good. So we're in bottoms and accept that. And let's just run a little render here. See how we're looking. And while that's going, let's go take a look and see who's on and who we're going to raid out. Oh, you know what? I probably should add a little piece right there. Oh. I wonder how messy that is. Now that I'm looking at it, I probably should add a little trim piece or a little material zone in there. And that's looking a little... See, these edges are looking a little weird, and that's probably from the subdivision. Actually, I'm going to try to fix that right now. And then I'll resave these back out later, just after. I'll resave these after I tweak the. So we're going to come in here. We're going to look at this mesh resolution, and maybe we take a look at some of these and see how that's looking. I'm still a little weird in here. It's a little bit better. I'm wondering if that's coming from the smoothing or if that's coming from the... Let me cancel that. I'm going to turn the smoothing off real quick. And actually, I want to do it in both of these. Dang it. So just to see, we're going to take the enable smoothing off. Let's do a test render on that. Actually, let's cancel that. Over here, high resolution, subdivision out. Let's just set that back to default like that. Take a quick look. Yo, Matthias, welcome to YouTube. You are just about in time. Well, I mean, it is deforced, but you know, it is more or less rigged. It's a swimsuit, so it should pose fairly nicely, but I'm not worrying about it. Because I'm just going to say, well, you should just use a D-force, because that's how it's designed. I might clean up the rigging just a little bit, and it will probably look just fine without D-force. These are still looking a little weird. I'm going to try to fix that and then call it a day. I'm just about to call it a day. I'm just tweaking some settings in here to see if I am getting this little weird, and that's coming from, I think that's coming from the resolution. That is coming from the resolution. So I may be able to tweak that with one of these. Maybe I'll just go with that setting there, and then I'll save it up with that. So I switched the mesh resolution to be based. Where did it go? I was just looking at it. So I switched the mesh resolution to use a different method of subdividing to smooth these out. I think that I'm going to go with that. And it's now 402. Also, I think I want to assign a little material zone in there. So I think maybe right in here. Let me see if I can just do that really quick. Right there, I'm just going to add another trim zone, or I'm just going to add this to the strap trim. I think I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to touch that up with the, I have to tweak my displacement maps for that then. Anyhow, let's add this to the strap trim. And the reason I'm doing that is it just doesn't look finished. It just looks weird with those lines just ending right there. So if I come into here, tool settings, and I'm just going to assign these from the strap to the strap trim. So we're looking over here, top strap trim. I'm just going to assign that, and it picks up the materials for that. I'm just going to do the same thing over here, and I'm just going to do the same thing with the Genesis 9 version later on. I'll pick that up on, we'll remember to do that with the Genesis 9 one when we start this on Monday again. Assign that is good. I am going to assign these just after I rate though. Alright, let's see how this is rendering. Actually, I want to see the back. I want to see how my sliders are looking, because that's just faked displacement. Alright, now we're going to rate out. And I don't need these because I have this nice line right here. And these aren't geometry, they're just displacement map. I think they look okay. I'm going to be happy with that. My camera may be using a little bit of depth of field, so it may be a little blurred. Anyhow, we're going to call it a day here. Thank you all for being here. We're going to look for somebody to raid over on Twitch and call it a day. Matthias, it was good to see you, man. I'm going to say goodbye to the YouTube, and then we're going to raid on Twitch. So, goodbye, YouTube. We will catch you later. Where's the thing that shuts YouTube off? There we go.